Hi there, welcome to Taurus Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Taurus energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Taurus energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy. The bottom row can just represent fears that people have as they're moving forward in their life, but then it can depend on how we work through those fears or, oh my goodness, that's too many. Fears or insecurities that we have, you know, if our fears and stuff like that can kind of represent our more shadowy nature. If we let those kind of get in the driver's seat of our life, we're gonna, like when we have cards that look back, and this is a masculine card, the masculine cards just represents people taking action in their worldly nature, so it's kind of our more egoic nature. They will probably turn back, whether they're male or female, because they get more caught up in their fear, their insecurity, their lust, their greed, their pride, their ego. So we're going to see how different people are handling things in their Taurus energy. And, you know, we're all at different stages of emotional maturity. Taurus, I view it as kind of about our philosophy of life. And it's kind of like the Supreme Court in our own head. We all go through life. We have these different experiences, and some people say, nope, I still have hope and faith and belief in love and myself and my dreams. And other people say, nope, I don't have hope and faith and belief in love or in myself or in my dreams. And, you know, we all have different fears or insecurities that we've worked through. Some people work through them, some people don't. So then that kind of keeps manipulating them, and other people are like free of it, you know, to a degree, you know. It's just like we all have had fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs to a degree throughout our life. Some people have some of the same ones that really consume them that you could have at 15, but now you're 35, and you know the way it affects you and impacts you is different because you worked through it from age 15 to age 35, and some other people maybe didn't. Interesting. Okay. Well, I think we'll go look at the bottom row. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, kind of going back and forth. The top row is the Eight of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy, and Virgo energy talks about going within to learn lessons, to look at things that we might have kept hidden in the dark. Look at those fears, look at those insecurities, look at that past pain and heartbreak. Do some work to invest in ourselves and love ourselves and know our worth and value. That's what helps people move forward in life differently. And the reason for the bottom row's reading is the Four of Wands, which can just be that people aren't inspired to do that. After the Four of Wands is the Five of Wands, and the fives can represent change. Some people are just happy with their life the way it is, just like we've been happy at different stages of our life, right? And in the Five of Wands, as time goes by, you know, we could be happy at a stage of life because the Four of Wands can represent coming together with others in joy and celebration, and it can kind of represent in our foundation of ourself, we're at a stage of life that we're okay at. Other people might have kind of completed that stage of life within themselves, and they're ready, you know, to move forward differently, where we kind of, in the Six of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy, we just see the truth about some things about it that we might not like, even within ourselves, right? Where it's like, no, this needs to go. I need to focus more on this. If we want to keep moving forward, kind of growing and healing and maturing ourselves. And some people aren't at that stage yet, and they may never get at that stage. They might be like, nope, I want to keep doing this forever. Oh yeah, and after that, we have the Nine of Pentacles, becoming independent of a stage. And some people, everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want. Whatever it is that drives, motivates them, their ideas of what they think is just and fair, the way they view themselves, the way they view others, the way they view the world. they're fine with it. And they'll keep being fine with it until something comes up. I don't know what it could be. Well, we'll have to see. So over here, we have the Five of Wands. Well, so that is the conflict. Some people could have had conflict, but instead of kind of seeing what needed to go, because that's kind of when you have conflict, again, you might have to look at what needs to stay, what needs to go, what habits, patterns, viewpoints, attitudes, what emotions I choose to sit in every day, what thoughts I choose to sit in every day, or what people I choose to hang out with, right? I would have to let go of some of those. And some people have a lot of conflict about letting go of some of those things. Up here, the only pentacle we start out with is the Knight of Pentacles, which, like the Eight of Pentacles, is Virgo energy. We'd have to detach from an old foundation. There's a maximum of 10 in every suit, and this is the 10 of Pentacles. Kind of like within ourself, because the Four of Wands is Aries energy, which is about ourself. When we within ourself start to feel some inner conflict about continuing to keep living our life the way we're living it, it's that, like a seed planted within us that tells us this has been great, but it's time to kind of look at what needs to go, what needs to stay. And in the Eight of Cups after that, what we need to become independent of and offer ourselves that cup of love. And the Eight of Cups walks away from the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Cups can be things that we could have invested in, enjoyed, but there was, and with some people and some things in our life, they keep moving forward with us, and those things keep moving forward with us. But what were some of the things that we thought was maybe just, fair, aligned with our truth, all those different things, but that we kind of see that maybe that's not correct, but you have to get out of your ego to see something, something wouldn't be in our life if we didn't embrace it, believe it, or get involved with it, right? So are we willing to get out of our ego? And that's the big difference between shadowy energy and high vibe energy. You have to be willing, and high vibe Virgo is about seeing the truth, learning lessons, getting out of our ego. And then we incorporate that new way of viewing life or living life and perceiving life in different ways that we think are just and fair, and behaviors that we no longer think are appropriate. Just like we thought certain things were appropriate ways to act and behave maybe when we were 15 and 18, we don't do some of those things anymore, because we're not that age. And so you incorporate that truth into your Taurus philosophy of self and how you make decisions moving forward. So some people felt that way. They were living their life, moving forward, thinking, this is great. But then it was like that inspiration that it's time to put in this work and effort to look at these things, what needs to stay, what needs to go. And up here we have the Six of Cups and the Empress. The Six of Cups can, we want to be in emotional balance and kind of keeping the past in perspective and the future of what we want in our present moment, the sixes can talk about balance. So and then the Empress can talk about emotionally feeling ready to give birth to something new. I've kind of done what I've done for quite a long time, could have enjoyed it, life was great. But then it's like that little spark within us, that seed that tells us it's time for you to go to the next phase of life, grow, heal, or mature yourself in some way. It's becoming kind of stagnant, because that's what shadowy energy can be. We go through these stages of life. We're 15, 18, 21, 25. They were all great when we got there. We were maybe fearful. We were also maybe kind of excited. And then we get in it, And then that's great. But then it's kind of it's time to move on. It's time to see the truth. It's time to let go of some of those old ways of being and become independent of it. Even though we have mental conflict about it, and even in the Four of Cups that we could be kind of sad to let some of those things go, it is time to pick up our investment in that to go have this new beginning. Oh, that's interesting. Because of the Hierophant. It's time. If you were to look at human beings as kind of like an apple tree, right? An apple tree doesn't have a choice. And I don't know enough about apple trees, but, they probably go through phases where they grow, and then it's a time to put in work and effort to make their limbs bigger and grow a new branch, And then as they go through that could almost seem like a time period of just staying at a phase of life where they're growing and maturing themselves. But apple tree doesn't have free will when it's kind of in their DNA or whatever it is they got, that tells them, okay, now it's time to grow another 5 feet. It's like, okay, and they grow another 5 feet. We as human beings will have free will. So it's kind of our intuition that kind of knock, knock, knock. You're starting to feel some inner conflict about continuing on this path. Some people keep continuing on it, and then in the Five of Swords, they do have this mental conflict because there's some things about it that they love or fear of moving forward. So then they can, in the Two of Pentacles, we can talk about that people kind of go back and forth about wanting to see the truth. Because again, the sun, like kind of Virgo energy, the sun is Leo energy, of seeing the truth of what needs to go and what should stay. So we can get kind of in our ego like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to leave this job, this friendship, this relationship, or I have these habits or ways of living life. It's like, yes, but it's starting to cause you some inner conflict and some mental conflict. That's kind of the sign that there's some things you kind of need to work through because it's kind of throwing you out of balance. And it's normal to move forward in life, and we have some of these issues we deal with, but if some of those issues that we deal with keep kind of accumulating, it kind of gets to be time to look at those things and see what we need to let go of and distance ourselves and certain habits or whatever to quit. To love ourselves enough, and that's kind of the Empress and the Nine of Cups. Love yourself enough to believe in yourself. The Knight of Pentacles is investing in the Queen of Wands. The feminine figures can talk about how we think and feel. Believe in yourself. Face your fears. It is scary to give up certain things or vices or habits. But in the Seven of Wands, 2 cards here of Leo, like the sun, some of the ways we've been moving forward is making us feel defensive. And like maybe some people in our life are making us feel defensive, like, and the fives again can talk about things have changed. When we're living our life, we don't stay the same necessarily. Some people more stay the same than other people. Just that some people do this inner work to work through some of their fears, their insecurities, to love and believe in themselves, work through their past pain and heartbreak, work through their mental conflict, and other people maybe never do that, or they just didn't do that, right? But we can be in a relationship, and one person does seem to, in the Chariot, it can talk about having victory over things that previously used to stop them, in the Ten of Swords, from being able to move forward in their life. Maybe even feeling more balanced within themselves, or knowing their worth and value. And that's, we can move forward in a certain phase of life, and we can think, oh, everything's, we're just going to keep going with it. And, say something happens that it kind of is a signifier in the Ten of Swords, you're going down the wrong direction. this is the wrong path. This job isn't right for you. This friendship isn't right for you. This relationship isn't right for you. You know, some people kind of get those signs, but because they have so much inner conflict about detaching from it and kind of loving and believing in themselves to have victory over it and within themselves be inspired to become independent of it, they keep moving forward in it. No, 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 forget that. No, like I'm gonna try to ignore this, and then that can be when people, it's kind of like, no, I can keep making it work. I'm just gonna keep putting in work and effort to keep trying to make it work. But that can be us in our more egoic, prideful nature. And it could be more because of our fear and our insecurity of letting something go or distancing ourselves from something. Same way people could have a vice, right? Say it's drinking. No, I am sure this is great, this is fun, I'm gonna keep moving forward in this. But then things keep happening in their life that keep showing them maybe like you're drinking too much. And there's other people who are becoming defensive to you and they're kind of distancing themselves from you. And we can, if that's our vice to make ourselves feel better, we could have a really hard time wanting to let go of that vice. So we're like, nope, okay, those people can go. I still don't want to see the truth. I'm going to keep doing this. And there's more things that keep happening in our life that are trying to show us, you know, you make this too important in your life and it's kind of thrown your life out of balance. And how about if you're someone who can drink, but you try to start moderating where you drink only 3 drinks if you're out, and just see how that goes. And quit looking to it to be the end all be all and think it's the answer to your life problems, because it's starting to cause more problems in your life than you thought, you know. But people could be in a job where things have changed or people have changed because everybody else is changing too. They're either kind of changing for the better or they're kind of changing for the worse. And are we willing to see the truth? And if we are in friendships and relationships with people who are being loving and encouraging and supportive, which is kind of what that top row talks about, are we willing to get out of our own fear and defensiveness to having a little more hope and faith and belief and love? And if we do, we kind of detach from our maybe more fearful nature that wants us to keep moving forward defensive to loving and encouraging people in our life. And we kind of do some work to figure out, why would I be defensive to these people who are loving and encouraging and supportive? How about I love myself? I'm not going to operate from that more defensive, fearful nature. And I'm going to offer myself that cup of love to get in the driver's seat of my life and maybe get more balance within myself of doing this work within myself to figure out why I would be defensive to those people. And then maybe when I work through some of my fears, my insecurities, that, you know, realizing not everybody's the same. And I have learned, kind of in the 10 of Pentacles and Virgo energy, I have met all these different types of people in the world. I know some people who are more prideful, hurtful, unkind, manipulative, wear a false mask, bossy, controlling, petty, immature, competitive. If those people don't seem like that, am I going to give up being able to move forward with people who seem to be firing on all 4 cylinders, seem to be more just, fair, balanced, stable, independent of their more shadowy nature? Other people in high vibe, the 5 of Swords, is people who've healed, who've learned how to love themselves. They are more balanced. They are more kind of like the next stage of life. They're more loving, encouraging, have learned some lessons in life that maybe some other people that we've dealt with hadn't learned those lessons. Or are we going to sabotage ourselves? You know, are we going to keep letting people that we have mental conflict about is what the Five of Wands talks about, because we dealt with some other people who are unstable, ungrounded, selfish, whatever, shadowy energy. Are we going to keep letting people who are like that we've experienced keep making us defensive to people in our life who are inspired to work together with us in a more just, fair way? Well, we'd have to, in the Six of Cups, we'd have to reconcile ourselves with some issues from the past. Offer love to the past. The Chariot is Cancer energy. Love is the answer. So we offer love to the past. We offer love to ourselves. We look back at our past and we see where we could have been someone we just had growing up and maturing to do, whatever it is. We've dealt with other people had growing and maturing to do. I'm going to offer love to anything in my past that made me maybe feel backstabbed or betrayed, or I didn't deserve love, or dealing with people who were unjust, unfair, unloving, who backstabbed me. I'm going to offer love to it, the fact that everybody's got their issues that makes them act and react the way they do, but just because some people act and react and act the way they do, that's kind of reflective of their emotional maturity level. And I can relate to it because I've had my own emotional maturity levels that I've gone through, right? So we can kind of put it, and some people can be much worse than we've ever been in our entire life and treat people in ways we never would treat people. But we've all had our fears, our insecurities, our pride, our ego, our lust, our greed, had growing up and maturing to do. So it's kind of like, I can understand that there was other people who were defensive to love, other people because of their life experiences and things they went through made them act the way they acted. And some people, those things kind of manipulated them all their life. I don't want it to keep manipulating me all my life. And I'm going to do this inner work to work through those things so I can be free of it. I accept it. I accept that everybody was where they were at. Everybody will be where they're at. Everybody will live their life the way they want and be the way they are. I can just choose who I want to hang out with and who I don't, and what traits, qualities, and characteristics I enjoy in people and which ones I don't. And also the fives can talk about change. I'm done trying to change people. I can be a loving and encouraging person in people's lives. If they don't want to work together with me in a more just and fair and balanced and authentic and loving way, okay, I'm not going to try to change you. You do you, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to close out a cycle with you, is what the tens can be. Can I still know you? You're like a social acquaintance. I mean, you could be a family member, but, the type of relationship, the way it was, no. We're not going to keep doing that. At least I'm not going to. You can, if you want. But then I'm just going to keep being more independent of you and investing my time, energy, and effort more into other people. And, find people who are more on the same page. But as I move forward, I could be a little defensive to other people because of how other people had treated me. So I'm going to work through it. So I don't let that I don't take over kind of sabotaging myself from other people who might have sabotaged me. Or just because other people were, in the past, is what the Six Cups talks about. You could have worked with some people who you viewed as just and fair and loving. And they could have kind of been just and fair and loving in a lot of ways. But as you move forward with those people, they could have been defensive, because as you move forward in life, again, there can be things that we need to work through in order to go to the next stage of life, things we might need to become independent of. And some people, again, could not be ready to move forward in that way. And then if you're kind of ready to move forward in that way, sometimes some people that at one time we viewed as just and fair and loving and stable and grounded, it can really get them, cause them a lot of inner conflict, just that you're changing. Why are you changing? Why are we not doing this? I didn't think we were ever going to do that. I was still happy with this, living our life like this. But you seem to work through something. You seem to be more emotionally balanced, where maybe before you were more imbalanced. And when we're in more shadowy energy, we can try to at least look in the world that we're more stable and balanced and healed and bold and brave and confident than we really are, right? And then we can get in relationships with people that they're happy we're doing that because that's what they're doing. But then whenever we work through some issues and we offer love to some things that are kind of a roadblock in our life, we're kind of still in our ego about something, which can just be, I'm still kind of fearful of moving forward because in the past, different situations that happened in my life that I guess I don't realize until it gets to a certain point in my life that it kicks up more of my fear and my insecurity and my inner conflict and maybe not knowing my worth and value or feeling less than or not feeling very stable or grounded within myself. And then the Eight of Cups is Pisces energy, and Pisces is also represented by the moon, which can talk about kind of being in our fear, and then we could move forward in ways, again, looking to something other than love, but we look to things that we love, which can just be we look to other people. And it can be that we stay in more codependent energy instead of doing this work within ourselves to love ourselves, to work through those things, to move beyond them. And so you could have just been in more codependent energy. Whatever it was, we get in jobs, friendships, and relationships, and we're a certain person. We think a certain way, we feel a certain way, we view life a certain way, we have different ways of viewing things that we think are just and fair. But during the course, if you're in relationships with people who are kind of motivated and inspired to work through fears and insecurities, and together you work through those things, you kind of keep moving forward with those people. And you might move forward with some people doing that for quite a long time. But in any situation, there can get a point where it's a bigger issue for someone to deal with that they would have to work through. And at some point, some people could say, nope, I'm not going any further. This is the end of the road. There would be something maybe within themselves, I mean, they all are things kind of within ourselves, that we would have to see the truth of. And since we're talking about Taurus energy, the next card is the Six of Pentacles over here. Within ourselves, we would have to see the truth of the foundation that we operate from. And I think at a core foundational level, are we willing to become more independent of our more worldly, egoic view of life, or kind of being a little bit more about ourselves, or conforming to the world, or how it benefits us, to really more authentically have more from love? Could there have been love there? Yes, but this is like going to the next level. It has to be the difference between Leo energy, and these two are both Leo energy, is one person kind of hiding behind their egoic nature, not wanting to be more authentic or kind of more put in work and effort? Because some people can be like loving and encouraging in a relationship, but they really want you to put in more of the work and effort. And then it can kind of be shadowy Empress energy, male or female, where they kind of want to be indulged in the relationship. And again, then you kind of think, well, in the Four of Wands and the Six of Pentacles, and all the even numbers can kind of represent that things seem to be even. is this just and fair? And if I am more inspired by love and putting in work and effort from love in the Nine of Pentacles, Virgo energy, more independent of being more about me or these things of the world, to be tipped in favor of wanting to be in it more for truth and love and justice and fairness. And as you move forward, you kind of realize someone has mental conflict about kind of taking that cup of love to have more hope and faith and belief in love. And we can get in relationships and we can be attracted to people, we can have a lot of things in common, we can have a lot of similar truths and values and things we like to do, but are we willing to get out of our more fearful or self-protective defensive nature to more authentically do love, or for some people just move the relationship forward in some way from where it's been? And if some people are ready to kind of, you could look at this as the Four of Wands can talk about coming together with other people. And so we come together with other people and we're exchanging time, energy, and effort with them. Well, that's like this stage kind of the relationship. Well, then from the 6 to the 9, do we kind of let go of that foundation to work through our mental conflict? And the Five of Swords is Aquarius energy, to operate from this new foundation, to become independent of that, to go to the next phase. All part of bringing this dream into reality, because the Five of Swords is Aquarius energy, which can be about our dreams. Or are we not in the Four of Cups? Kind of like, are we still on the same page to keep working together? Are we willing? There's some things we might have to pick up our investment in to put more work and effort into moving forward with this new commitment or relationship with the Sun and the Hierophant. The Hierophant, Taurus energy, but it can also represent all these different institutions of the world. One of them, relationships and marriages. But even if it's at a workplace, is this going to move forward? How are things going? This is how I thought things were going to move forward. Were you thinking things were going to move forward like that? And some people, are we still on the same page or are we not? If I think I'm ready to go to the next phase, take on maybe more responsibility at a workplace, do they think that I'm ready? Are they ever going to think I'm ready? And I do think I'm ready. Would I need to leave this job in order to keep progressing, to kind of grow to my full potential, And it's for everybody to work through what they think. And some people could have inner conflict about speaking their truth, right? So then people might do things that are kind of hurtful or unkind, maybe just to get other people to leave. I don't really want to tell the truth about what it is, or what I don't like, or why I don't want to keep moving forward with it. So I might do things in the Five of Swords and the Four of Cups and the Two of Pentacles that kind of show that I have an issue about moving forward kind of differently. And other people kind of maybe listen to their intuition about it. And then everybody can kind of get defensive. And there's all this kind of upset in a foundation and about how we're going to move forward next. Is it truth, love, just, fair? Isn't it? Are we on the same page? Are we not on the same page? There could be some people right now, again, they like to exchange resources with people in a foundation, but they don't really want to bring that dream into reality. So the way that can work is there's some people who could have a job. I like working here, put in more work and effort and be more inspired within myself to put in more work and effort? No. No, I like doing this. And as long as you don't want to fire me, I guess I'll keep doing this. And then there's people in relationships that are that way too. I don't mind being here. Like, I don't mind being in a relationship. I don't mind having this job. So long, as things are going okay. But I have mental conflict about moving forward and it being more inspired to put in work and effort into it, to move it forward like differently. So just like that can happen with employees and employers, it can happen in friendship groups and relationships. And other people, so the people who are more shadowy could have a lot more inner conflict about, well, I think eventually it gets down to if we're in a more mismatched relationship, we can like a lot of things, we can have a lot of things in common, we could have certain similar viewpoints on, like how you want to raise children or all those different things. But eventually at a core foundational level is in our Gemini energy of what our truth is in our free will. Am I more motivated to stay more about me and make my life more about these things of the world are most important to me, status, ego, image, me, or things I indulge in? Or am I willing to align in my Gemini nature with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature and get out of maybe my defensiveness or a flaw? Because that can be a philosophy of life. A shadowy Taurus philosophy of life is that it kind of is tilted a little bit more in favor, or a lot more, depending, of living more from your mind than your heart. What makes practical, logical sense? And people kind of don't even know sometimes how buried it is under the surface that, there could be people in their life that they think that they could be attracted to, that they'd like to invest in. But that makes me vulnerable to being hurt. And maybe some people don't know if they think they could. There are no guarantees in life. I mean, you'd hope that if you put work and effort and they put work and effort, but, as we're going down the path of life, people can be, there's just no guarantee. Are you willing to take that leap of faith? And some people aren't. Could I want to? Could I find some people attractive and charming? Whatever it is. But some people will maybe get up in their head, get caught up in their mental conflict about believing in themselves, believing in their dreams, thinking they're good enough or stable enough or got enough money, if thinking other people might, the Knight of Pentacles has, it's like a balance of both. Some people might bring more of the love component to a relationship. Other people might bring more financial aspects to a relationship. But it is a balance of both. High vibe people want a balance of both. And it's okay if some people have more of the financial or the social or whatever, and other people have more of the encouraging, loving aspect. Together, it makes it an abundant foundation. And if you appreciate each other for what those people bring to the table to make it that way. And do we appreciate what we bring to the table and think it's is valuable and appreciated, right? But some people won't get out of their head. Some people could be afraid that they really could have a problem with getting in a more long-term commitment relationship because of issues maybe from their past, that they know they want to maybe be in relationships but stay single. And because of that, if other people don't have some of those fears and they do want to be in relationships with people who are more willing to get in a more formal commitment, they'll see the truth of it. Wish them peace, but I'm going to keep moving forward with people who've worked through these issues that at least it's an option or a possibility. But I think right now there's some people in a job, people in a friendship, people in a relationship, where some people have been offering truth and love to try to maintain balance in a relationship, and some other people kind of have been acting a little shadowy, or kind of acting a little bit in their ego, like they think they should kind of be more indulged in the relationship. And I think some high vibe people are going to get out of those, and some of you already have. And from the 1 pentacle to the 8 of pentacles is the difference, is the 7 of pentacles, which is Taurus energy. I'm not going to keep investing in that. And from the 1 to the 8, it's like I'm taking back those 7 of pentacles. There was some people at one time that people had worked with and invested in and were trying to offer love and encouragement, so long as it moved forward in where it was just and fair, and we respected each other as their own individual who had their own dreams, and we weren't trying to manipulate or control people or think we should be more indulged. Those are the people we're continuing to keep moving forward with. And as we move forward, when there's some people that we're not going to invest in, some of those people were the people we thought we were going to keep working with, right? Well, then we might look at other people in our world, people from our past, people in our current environment, because again, just like if you quit being in a friendship with someone or dating someone, or you get out of a job, you're going to look at the environment around you to see who do you think is more on the same page as you. And there might be some people that people could view as people they think might be more on the same page as them. And they might, in the King of Wands, communicate with some people. And, everybody can kind of be loving and encouraging and supportive to people, and is kind of to see who seems more open and receptive to that, who seems more defensive to that, who seems to want people to chase them, who seems to be more stubborn, prideful, full of themselves. And then some people, the 7 of Wands can be that everybody kind of has good boundaries. There's always going to be people that are more shadowy, but the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands would be a counterpart, but we can align with people who seem to be a counterpart to us. But if we don't keep investing in our truth and standing up for kind of our truth, we could get in a relationship with someone who is like a counterpart for us, but it's from a more worldly, shadowy foundation. Am I going to get in a relationship because I feel unstable, because I have inner conflict, because I want to indulge in a victory? I'm operating more from my ego. I don't like being single. I have mental conflict. I haven't learned to love myself. I'm still going back and forth about the truth. I am more about ego and image, and I definitely want to be in a relationship for those reasons. If we make decisions for those reasons, we will get in a counterpart relationship with someone who is a counterpart to us, but more aligned from our more worldly, shadowy foundation. And then we will move forward in a relationship that is more driven for those reasons or the world. Or we stand up for our truth, and I'm more motivated and inspired by truth, hope, faith, belief, justice, fairness, and love is supposed to be just and fair, and you're supposed to get in the relationship and stay in the relationship because of love, not more for these other reasons. And some of the people who are more shadowy, it's like, no, I'll offer you these things of the world. I present myself as more high vibe, but I hide behind my ego nature. I hide my true self behind my ego nature. So my more ego nature runs my life, and I will offer you these things of the world. It's kind of like the devil offers us these things of the world. You don't have to do truth and love. You don't have to maintain balance within yourself. You don't have to be just and fair. You don't have to, you can have all these things. Just make your life more about the world. And then you'll be in probably a relationship that eventually you don't want to be in because it's a more transactional relationship, which is a shadowy Taurus relationship. So you could feel there is people around you that you feel, yeah, if you wanted to maybe be in a relationship with someone to be in a relationship, you can go be in a relationship. But it's not going to be because of love. It's more because of these other reasons, because you gave up on standing up for yourself and what you believe in. But as you keep moving forward, I am going to stand up for what I believe in. Then that kind of energy keeps kind of people away from you. If you were to quit loving yourself, take action out of more shadowy energy, yeah, there could be a bunch of people who could rush in to want to be in a friendship or a relationship with you. As long as you keep standing up for what you believe in, it kind of energetically keeps people away from you because you're not taking action out of more shadowy energy. Could some of those people want to be in a relationship or a friendship with you? Yes. And it's like, I'm going to keep focused on my work, the people in my life who work together with me this way. If any of you get out of the 1 wand to the 7 wands, the difference is the 6 of wands, which is also Leo energy. Moving forward more inspired by your ego nature, or being more about yourself, or more about these things of the world. If you work through that inner conflict you have about letting go of your more worldly nature, or just wanting to offer people things of the world and indulge in a relationship with people, and if you love yourself enough to want a more emotionally balanced, loving relationship, and put an end to that cycle and get inspired in yourself to quit operating from that foundation and become independent of it, and have some more hope and faith and belief in yourself and love and get more balance within yourself, then I guess one day you might communicate your truth to me, that you would like to get to know me more. But until then, I'm going to stay focused on my truth. And then some of those people are like, oh, well, that person's never going to indulge me this way. And so then they'll go find someone else who they think will. And it's like, that's okay. You go find some people who kind of think like you do and want to live life like you do and enjoy. But I don't want to be in relationships with people who it's not based on high vibe Virgo energy, truth, love, justice, fairness, insight, self-awareness. No, that's out of the window. We're more in competitive energy. It's more about looking like we are moving forward victoriously and successfully, living more from our mind than our heart, indulging ourselves in relationships. To be in a relationship because we have mental conflict about love. Well, go be in a relationship with someone else who's like that. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy? Right now, some people are in relationships with people and the other people did some work within themselves. And they're offering them love and encouragement for them to come with them. And some of them, I'm like, no, doing love puts me in the danger zone. And that's Gemini energy. Do you have, in their free will, do you have more hope and faith and belief in love? Or it's like, I get hurt doing that. I am not going to let my more authentic nature come out to play in the world. Some people will move forward with those people in that way. Other people will not. Nope, that's too big a price to sacrifice, either being more about me, being more about the world. My defensive nature makes me feel safe and secure. I am not detaching from that foundation, or I have friends or family in my life that if I were to move forward with you, I'd have to become independent of those people. Those people are the primary foundation in my life. I'm not willing to become more independent of them, or the world is what I make my life about. And I live my life more by worldly standards than thinking there's a higher truth and justice to aspire to, and free myself from the illusion of my ego nature to go really live my more authentic life in truth and love. For some people, it's just too many things for them to work through, because that has not been their truth all their life. And it's hard enough to learn some lessons in looking at life differently, to completely have a whole philosophical turn your life completely opposite of what it's been. That's probably not going to happen. You know, Taurus energy can talk about these things from people we've grown up with, the community and friendships that we've had. It's so ingrained in us, and from a young age even, and their own family, how people view life and how you should live your life. And if some people were never more authentic and they lived more from their mind than their heart, and it could have looked good and it could have been kind of loving and supportive and encouraging, but people just more caught up in the world, or more caught up in the ego and image, or doing things, but kind of not being more authentic and genuine from the heart. It's just really would be super hard to change that. So we just, and to our own degree, we've all been there to some degree. So, but you went through some experiences where it forced you to have to learn to reconcile yourself with some issues in the past, and love yourself, and believe in yourself, and to stand up for yourself. And then it's going out in the world. I am no longer caught up in the illusion. And maybe, in a way, it's kind of, if you're going out in the world and you're just treating people the way you like to be treated, being authentic, just, and fair, and loving, then you let everybody else have their free will to decide if they're aligned with that or not. When you're not going out in the world, and that being how you interact with people, you can see how it's kind of shadowy. It's a little more manipulative, like, well, I'm doing this and I'm acting like this. And, it's kind of not living more your authentic truth, because you're more concerned about how people view you or if they like you. And it is kind of chasing after people and maybe compromising your truth because you want these things of the world, or relationship or friendship and people, whatever, but it is in turn kind of trying to manipulate people to get them to view you a certain way and think about you a certain way, and kind of be part of the club. And it's just like, I'm just going to live my authentic life. I'm no more in illusion. And some people are like, but you're not acting this way and dressing this way, and you're talking to those people and not these people, and you're not going to these functions and activities. You're kind of doing whatever the hell you want. And it's like, yeah, because it's my life. And I have no ill will towards anyone. I'm not trying to manipulate or control anyone. I'm just going out and doing what I really like to do, seeing who wants to do it with me. And some people are like aghast that, oh my gosh, like, you're like way more independent than any of us are, and we certainly can go live our authentic life. There'd be all these things we have to become independent of to live our more authentic life. And so then that can also get people in the Five of Wands and shadowy energy, can make people get in competitive energy and jealous and envious, because they like to think of themselves as just and fair and loving and encouraging people, which they can be. But it could be a little bit more because of how they want people to perceive them. Are they genuinely who they say they are, or is it more of a mental construct of who they like to think of themselves as being? But is it still just a different level of still conforming to the world without really living your more authentic truth? And then some of those people don't want you around because you kind of illuminate that they're not really who they might try to present themselves to be more authentically. And then they could even want to backstab and betray you to try to get you out of that energy, to get you in the energy they're in. And you just might know some people who you know have mental conflict about love. And so instead of moving forward with you in a relationship, they decided to go get in a relationship with someone who they think is kind of more on the same page as them, that maybe doesn't require them to do this inner work to deal with the truth of some issues, and that they could get in a relationship with someone else that it looks victorious and successful, just like it did with you. But those people maybe don't ever require them to do this inner work within themselves. They'll stay in the relationship and exchange resources with them and keep staying in it more from this worldly perspective of life, and until one of them might do the work within themselves to work through some issues. And some people who are shadowy, who are never going to do this work within themselves, I don't have to deal with my past pain, heartbreak, fear, insecurity, if I'm full of myself, if I'm bossy or controlling, if I'm immature. Some people are never going to change, or they're more self-indulgent, codependent, whatever. They're never going to change, some of them. And you accept the truth of it. And even if people will change, you don't know that, and it can take years. So in the meantime, you're investing in your truth, standing up for yourself, taking action to invest in your truth and invest in people who are on that page. And as long as those people aren't on that page and working together with you in that way, then you wish them peace, and you're not going to keep moving forward with them and indulging them in a friendship or relationship, because you don't really think it's just and fair and balanced. They could have thought it was just and fair and balanced. It's like, well, your idea of what you think is just and fair is different than my idea. I had mental conflict, and I felt like I was missing an opportunity in love, and I felt like you were juggling the truth, that you present yourself as a stable, grounded, authentic, loving person, but I really think you're kind of defensive to actually doing love. Well, how? And again, if people are kind of hiding behind their kind of egoic nature and presenting themselves a certain way, but authentically they don't invest themselves more authentically from love. So you kind of feel like you're in a relationship with their cardboard cutout person, and you are being authentic and loving. Well, go do that with someone else who either doesn't know the truth of you yet or lives their life like that too. So, what's coming up for the high vibe people? The Ten of Swords, the Four of Swords, the High Priestess, the Emperor. Why? Because of the Nine of Swords. You wanted to complete a cycle. You didn't want things to keep moving forward the way they were. Being stressed out if other people were going to heal, if other people were going to listen to their intuition, if other people were going to take some more mature action in their life. And you've probably, in the High Priestess, you've been investing in your truth. You've been seeing what other people are investing in, which is not working together with you in more equal give and take. And it can take time, but as time goes by, you can work through that mental confusion that some people who you viewed as being maybe a more just, fair, balanced, authentic, loving person, and who could have been at one time, maybe they changed. Maybe they weren't who you thought they were. Maybe some people just wear a very good false mask and present themselves a certain way. And eventually, by you continuing offering love and encouragement to the situation, it was breaking through the false mask. And eventually, it was too hard to wear the false mask, or they became got so much up in their head because you were the danger zone that they could do love that, you know, they turned back. It's like, and as every day goes by is another day, you see that their truth isn't your truth. In Gemini, you harness your Gemini energy differently. You have to be, in order to heal a relationship and bring a dream into reality, you have to have the same truth. And you can see that some people aren't healing, aren't getting balance within themselves. Their truth is different than your truth. And you see, you can't heal a relationship with people who can't ever close out a cycle because they'd have to see the truth of something that needs to end. And if they don't want to see the truth of what it is that manipulates them, that they need to deal with, that would enable them to heal this relationship, then you can't heal a relationship with them. But you have healed. Some of the things that manipulate them don't manipulate you that way or to that degree. And you're going to listen to your intuition about that. And again, take the lessons that you've learned with you. You know, and in tarot, we have the pages, the knights, the kings, the queens, the emperor, the empress, the hierophant, and the high priestess. You know, you could have gotten in relationships with people, you know, in the knight stage. You kind of, I was kind of looking at the chariot as a knight, but, you know, maybe just more caught up in the world, all these things in the world you wanted to manifest, and just more caught up in looking at life from that perspective. And then could have went through learning lessons more in your fire sign energy. But in your fire sign energy, you are ready to go to being an emperor because you have learned some of these lessons that some other people haven't yet. And emotionally, whether you're male or female, emotionally you're ready to give birth to something new and take action differently in alignment with the truth of who you are emotionally. So when emotionally you are high vibe empress, you are ready to take action in high vibe emperor. And then those are the type of people you want to be in a relationship with. And you could have been in a relationship with people just like you had been at that phase of life, working through learning lessons as the King of Wands, which the Emperor and the King of Wands are both Aries energy, but they were still ready to keep staying at that phase of life, not ready, not wanting to step out of their comfort zone to become independent of it yet, to work through their mental conflict and love and believe in themselves and face their fears enough to go to that next stage of life. And they may never be ready to do that. So they want to keep repeating this phase, and you're ready to give birth to something new. You accepted the truth of it. Now you're listening to your intuition about other people in your life who you think have that potential, male or female, in friendship and relationship, to be that type of person where we have learned all these lessons. We don't want to go back to acting like we were 15, 18, 21, 25, 35, whatever age you are. You know, that we've learned these lessons in life. We have more self-awareness and self-insight. We're able to maintain more balance within ourselves. We're able to offer ourselves love and compassion and forgiveness to work through our own mental conflict and fears and insecurities and defensiveness, not to get in a relationship for someone else to do that for us. We have learned to take that responsibility on within ourselves. It's nice to be in community and friendship and relationship, but ultimately that's my own responsibility. But other people could look to other people to play that role in their life. Well, no, you're supposed to keep being the loving and encouraging and supportive person to me because I haven't learned to do that for myself. Well, then, you know, they're kind of in a different energy than you're in, and you'd like to be in a relationship with people who are in that same energy. And I think as you move forward, you will complete this cycle. You will heal from the Ten of Swords down to the Four of Swords, at one time there was something that you viewed as being like aligned with your truth that you thought of maybe as like a dream aligned with your dreams. And I don't think you do anymore, because again, every day that goes by that other people are not speaking the truth, doing equal give and take it with you, becoming independent of some more shadowy or immature ways of being, you could view it, to change the situation and offer love, is another day that you see that you're not on the same page. So you realize, my dream can't come into reality with you. And so you're going to stay focused in your Gemini nature on truth and love, and taking action, looking to the future, and investing your time, energy, and effort not in those people, but, other people in the world who might be more on the same page as you. I need to go find the people who I can be in a relationship with that are a counterpart more from my more high vibrational view of life than my more worldly view of life, because that phase of my life of being more driven and motivated by those things is over. But some of the people I was in a relationship with, they're still more driven and motivated by those things, or that philosophy of life or way of viewing relationships. And I think as you're doing that, there's other people that are moving forward in that way that will meet you. As you're moving forward, you'll meet other people and you'll just listen to your intuition kind of about who's who. What's coming out for some people who harness a more worldly Taurus energy that they don't see coming? The Six of Wands, the Six of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, and the reason is because of the Four of Pentacles. Well, the shadowy people keep holding on to this truth that they have, that they are unwilling to kind of move on from. And that is that they think the best bet is to live more for their mind than their heart. And I view the King of Swords as a person's self-protective, defensive nature. Nope, I got to be practical and logical. It has to be more where I get to be either bossy or controlling, or it's more about me, male or female. I am not going to open up more authentically with people. I will enjoy myself in a relationship. I might be just and fair to a degree in a relationship. I will be willing to, offer people things of the world for them to move forward with me. But I am unwilling to be inspired by truth and love. That is not the foundation I operate from. So they're going to keep moving forward in that truth. And because of that, they could have some people in their life that have been friends, family, romantic interest that want to be in a friendship or relationship just like other people did. But how long can the people in their life keep not wanting to see the truth? The Ten of Swords is like, I don't want to see the truth that I'm exchanging resources with someone who wants to stay independent of this dream I have, which is about being more balanced and authentic and loving in a relationship. They want me to move forward with them because this makes logical, practical sense. I could like them, they could like me, but I'm inspired by truth and love and being that way with them, but they're being the way they are with me. I am not in a relationship with someone who treats me the way I treat them. And if I were maybe to treat them the way they treat me, they maybe wouldn't like it. Because I guess I'm supposed to be the just and fair and tempered and loving one. And they get to kind of be indulged in the relationship, presenting themselves as a just and fair and loving and encouraging person, but not really authentically coming from love. It might be good for their ego and their image and their status and looks good by worldly standards. And if I'm just and fair and loving and they don't have to be, hey, that could be their idea of the dream relationship. This works for them. Some of the people that they're in relationship with have mental conflict of staying in the relationship with them because they feel like they're missing an opportunity to be in a more balanced, authentic, loving relationship. And even though they have mental conflict of becoming independent from these people and they really didn't want to leave it, they're not, they can't keep moving forward this way. It's not aligned with their truth. It's more about staying in it for the ego and the image and the status. I don't want to live a lie. I always thought it was maybe going to move forward in this way, or I always thought it was working together through this. But there comes a time where it's like, that's not their truth. They don't really want to do love. And I'm not willing to give up on my dream. And some of those people, or just some people, see that they're kind of more about themselves, more superficial, more shallow, unstable, more competitive, don't really maybe care, some of them, who they hurt. It's all about them and how it benefits them, and wanting people to indulge them and thinking, this people can think whatever the hell they want, and they can have this philosophy of life that, damn it, I should be indulged in a relationship for whatever reason they think that. And other people kind of start to see through the illusion of them. You're not who I thought you were. And some of those people are going to move on. Friends, family, or romantic interest. And there's always going to be people in their life that live life the way they live it, view life the way they view it, want them to keep living their life that way because that's how they live their life. And that's who they'll be surrounded by. So ultimately, they will just have people around themselves where nobody's really loving, but everybody creates the illusion that they're these just and fair and loving people. Nobody's inspired by truth and love. It's more about being in the relationship and the friendship for how it benefits them, to each help each other create this illusion about the type of person they are. Maybe both not willing in their group to tell the truth. Everybody to maybe play the victim. Everybody tell people that they have mental conflict about moving forward with other people or the next person they get in a relationship because of these other relationships that didn't work out, while they sit and juggle the truth and indulge in a relationship forever. Well, it gets harder and harder to do that with people as people grow up, because other people have had life experiences and they start to listen more to their intuition and being less caught up in the illusion of people and tempted by these more worldly things, where that could have worked for a much longer period of time when people were younger. But now that people have grown up and matured themselves more and have learned more lessons about people and have been around people like this, they're less to keep indulging someone. Well, let's work through it. What is it? And if you're not ever going to work through it, let me know now and I will move on. I don't want to keep staying in a relationship with people who haven't gotten over the issues from their past. Well, does that mean you want to go be in a relationship with that person? No. Well, then, do you think you're on the same page? No. Okay. Do you think I'm like that person? No. Well, then what's the problem? I suppose, is what some people could say and what some people could be saying. And eventually people are like, I don't know if you're telling me the truth. I think you're juggling the truth. I think you just want to keep moving forward in it the way it is, where you kind of get to be selfish in your energy. Well, you do that. I'm going to move on. And the more high vibrational people in their life are going to go invest their time, energy, and effort with other people. And those people are going to be careful of investing in a relationship with someone until they get to know them more, because they've also been in situations like that. And if they realize that those people are being truthful and authentic and not deceptive and manipulative, they could be the next person to get in a relationship with that person. Or if it is people that they know who were in situations, could be people that they would heal a relationship with. But the people have to be being authentic, because the high vibe people are going to listen to their intuition about who is being more deceptive, manipulative, prideful, wants to be indulged, more materialistically motivated or ego motivated, and who is, because some people just want to get in a relationship with someone else to backstab someone else who left them. I want that person to be in mental conflict and feel unloved because I went and got in a new relationship. You know, you want to use people as pawns in your game, go find someone else to use as a pawn in your game to try to manipulate other people. And for some people, that's all they've been doing. Weren't willing to get out of their ego with loving and encouraging people, mad that those people stood up for themselves, and their whole life is just trying to backstab those people. All the people, because those people saw maybe the truth of who they were, or they really did love that person, but they weren't willing to do love with that person. So it's all to try to hurt that person because that person wouldn't keep indulging them. You know? I mean, some people waste a lot of time and energy in their life when they could work through those issues. And other people, they're not doing that. They're just really living their authentic life. Yep, that's not my truth. I realized it. Nope, I want to be more about me. I want to be more about the world. I'm going to go try to find someone who might have mental conflict about love or loving themselves. And I'll go get in a new relationship with them because I don't even want to do love. And if they seem like they want to do love, I'm going to get out of the relationship with them too. This is what I want. I want to look victorious and successful in the world, indulge, enjoy, and not do love. Who's on board? And they will probably find people who would be willing, so long as it looks good by worldly standards and they get along good enough and enjoy some similar things, that they'll do that. That's, everybody can manifest whatever they want in the world. And some people, it's like, yep, I'm good with that. And other people are like, no. I am not good with that. That is selling my truth, selling my soul to be in a relationship or for the status, the ego, and image. That's too high a price to pay, but you go. You do you. There you go, Taurus. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.